I've trained every other day for the last 7 years now. Now, what's the biggest hiccup when I tell people to train every other day? It's the Jeff Nippard effect, right? Jeff Nippard has made millions of dollars off simply saying this is the most optimal way, here's the data, blah, blah, blah. If all the golden era guys, if all the people before science-based lifting became popular who were gorgeous, built all that muscle, how did they do that if they weren't following the science? Why do I have followers? Because they took my advice, they went and did it, and it helped them. It helped them progress. And so they stayed. I'm not going to do it because I don't know what to do on those rest days, bro. That's your issue. You don't even have to do my program. You just found what your issue is in your entire life right there, is that you are constantly distracting yourself because you don't have a relationship with yourself.
Hey, welcome in, man. Thanks. Appreciate you coming in. Seriously.
I appreciate you having me, dude. You sent me the message and I looked at your Instagram and I was like, bro, I fucking love Marvel, so I'm
so now,
dude, just to check it out.
Yeah, dude, it's been a lot of fun, kind of piecing the whole thing together and finding the branding. And yeah, the Marvel thing is great because it gives a different demographic and interest in whatever it is we're doing. You know,
I mean, that's what gym stuff. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Everybody talking about it, but it's like the most talked about topic in the entire world, so adding that element that will, you know what I mean.
Does it ever feel like everybody's just doing kind of the same thing?
100%. I mean, I didn't want to do this in the first place. Like my posting stuff, like I've been training now for 10 years at a very high level. I was a high performer since I started doing powerlifting in the very beginning. I got a major injury that like switched gears into bodybuilding, and that's kind of where I got the whole hybrid power building style from, because I switched over from kind of being like a fatter, strength focused guy to learning how to do the diet side and then maximizing hypertrophy and all that stuff. But like I was helping people like 2-3 years ago. I took a 19-year-old kid. He was benching around 285. I was at UCLA at the time. I took him within a year. He took the national record with a 453-pound bench. You know,
holy cow!
And 6'3".
At what age?
20. He hit it at 20.
Jeez.
You know, but he's 6'3", right? So many people are like, "Oh, I only have a big bench because I'm 5'3", and I'm like,
he's big. He's still
really tall guy. You know what I mean? Still hit it. And so like I've been helping people in my proximity for a long time, but I fucking hate the fitness culture online, dude.
Yeah,
for like forever. Yeah, I can't stand it because it's all just gimmicky. It's like obviously I get it. You want to make money off this, you know, but it's like there's a portion of it for me where it's like the authenticity has to remain, because once you let that authenticity, right, sell your soul, right? Once you let that authenticity go, then you're willing to do anything to make money, you know? And it's not oh, well, I kind of let this slide. It's like, no, once in your brain, you're willing to sell yourself out to appease people and get, you know, clout or attention or money or whatever, it always gets easier, dude. You know, the first time is the hardest. The first time you're like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to step out of that zone. I want to respect what I said I was going to stay strong to myself, right? Well, you let that go once. Then you're like, oh, well, I kind of got paid last time I did it. What's the worst thing that's going to happen this time? Money, 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 money.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think there is so much monetization that happens when somebody does the gimmicky thing instead of something valid or something? Like, why is that? Why does the internet reward that so much?
Oh, well, okay. You've been in fitness for a long time, right? You work with people.
Sure.
Let's say hypothetically I was 250 pounds and I was like, fine, I was alcoholic, all this shit, right? And I was finally ready to get my life back on track. The thought of the montage in the head, right, of the process is like, I can do this. You know what I mean? You're watching the Kobe videos at 3 a.m. You get the fantasy of the process in your head, and you could see yourself shredded. You know what I mean? Like you can visualize it, and it's like you get exhilarated, right? Fucking 12 hours later, you're bored of it already. You know what I mean? Because it's a very boring, mundane, underwhelming process. Success is a very underwhelming process. Think about Olympic athletes, right? Like Usain Bolt trains 5 years for like 10 seconds.
For 10 seconds on the track. Yeah.
And that's it. Done. Glory's done. Moment's gone.
And the process is sometimes very lonely. You're doing it by yourself, maybe with a coach, but you're most of the time in this alone.
So now let's say, hypothetically, I get on a video and I say, look, guys, There is no answer. The people who succeed are the ones who shut the fuck up and do this every day, sacrifice as many things as possible to create an environment where you are going to succeed in your goals, and do that for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's going to be like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
This guy told me I just have to fucking cut steak out of my diet and I'm going to be in the best shape of my life within 3 months.
Mm-hmm. And this other guy told me this is going to take 5 years and it's going to suck and it's going to be hard every single day. Yeah. Not the guy who said it's going to be hard. No, because that sounds terrible.
Right. And so what they do is, for instance, a lot of coaches, right? And I experience this a lot with people. The way to be a good coach in today's age is to overwork and underfeed your client, right? A weight loss coach, what's the best way to guarantee your goals? Overwork and underfeed. Mm-hmm. I have clients who are literally like, dude, I don't really care about muscle retention. I just want to lose my weight, you know? And it is like a dagger in my heart.
When you hear that?
To like, because it will, because it's like, here's my philosophy with training. And I tell people this all the time. Mm. When I take somebody in to be my client, I make it very clear to them, I don't care if you hit your goal in your time working with me. Mm. Because what I care about is that in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you give me a ring and you said, what you taught me in the 2 to 4 months or whatever that we worked together, set me up to be a version of myself now that I never thought would be possible. I don't need the glory. I don't even need to share that conversation with anybody. I don't need to post a testimonial. I don't care. Mm. But so many people out there, they will look what I did to this. I burned 20 pounds off this guy in 30 days. I'm like, yeah, you keep doing that, he's going to get osteoporosis by the time he's 35 years old. You know what I mean? You keep malnourishing these people, putting them on, doing 6 miles of Stairmaster every day, like all this, feeding them 1,200 calories. I had a woman client. She brought me in. She was 6 weeks out from a show. And she's like, I'm just like not losing weight anymore. And she was losing weight. Mm-hmm. The issue was she was losing muscle as well. Mm-hmm. And so the look wasn't really changing. Sure. Right. And I was like, well, how much are you eating? She's like 800 calories a day. I was like, where the hell did you get that number? And she's like, oh, well, like this other girl, she told me like, that's what I should do, blah, blah. For a week, I begged her to bump it up to around 1,400. Yeah. She wouldn't do it. She wouldn't do it. Finally did it. And her weight started dropping. But it wasn't because like it like visually, right? Like visually she could see, because why? Because she was actually allowing muscle protein synthesis to be accomplished, which means glycogen gets stored, which means water gets brought in, which means she has a fuller look. And now she can actually see how much fat she lost, right? Mm-hmm. It was that she was so flat and malnourished and depleted and icky and losing muscle and just in a catabolic state chronically, mm-hmm. that. And keep in mind, she lost fat. If you went and took her to a little in-body scan, she'd be like, look, I lost 10% body fat. But it's like, yeah, look at your fat-free mass index. You know what I mean? It also,
you lost more than fat.
Right.
And that's not what you want.
Right. And so, when you ask me why, right, why does the gimmick exist? And it's because it works. It works. It's a 90-second reel can make your life. That can make your life. You blow up on one reel. I have a buddy, he just started posting a month ago. He had 50 followers. He did one video where he said he was talking about how horrible carbohydrates are. Okay. And that he eats fruit, right? But he does consume fruit, and sure. And it was a more carnivore diet style. I'm not against carnivore diet. I mean, I'm a very big, I promote a very well-balanced diet.
Yeah, well-rounded.
Right. I believe that if we're able to metabolize something, then there's a reason we're able to metabolize it, right? And that our body needs it, And, he got 3 million views on it and 30,000 followers from that post.
Wow.
A 90-second reel. Mm-hmm. Now, do I think that was the most constructive way to communicate his message? Absolutely not. Mm-hmm. But it worked.
Yeah.
And now he has followers. So now he's going to be able to perpetuate that. Eventually, he's going to be able to create digital products and coaching and this and that and that. And the question now becomes, was it 100% genuine? Now, I know this guy. I'm not going to put him on blast.
Yeah, no. Or is he qualified to now be in charge of 30,000 people's health journey because he made one?
Well, there's,
post. And
as with most of the fitness industry, there's some untalked about variables that are existing in his circumstance.
Sure.
Right. that you have to stop for a second and ask, is it really the oatmeal that's making or breaking your success, or is it these other variables that you're not being vocal about? You know what I mean? And I'm sure most people who are involved in fitness probably understand like I said, I don't want to put the guy on blast. You know,
sure. Yeah.
You know, I know him, you know what I mean? And that's kind of my point, where it's like, it's all gimmicks. There's a lack of transparency because transparency is boring, dude. Transparency is fucking boring.
Mm-hmm.
So to get back to my way of getting into social media space is all my community. You have to get out there, dude. You help so many people in your proximity. Like, you have to get out there. You have to promote. And it's like, you know, I'd see these little videos of Jeff Nippard and like, you know, all of these like science-based lifters and shit. And I'd be like, I don't want to be lumped in with these guys. Like, I come from a different background. With these guys, you know, I don't want to minimize their life or their experiences or traumas or whatever, you know what I mean? But I come from a very fucked up background. You know, if you ask anybody who I grew up with, if I should be here right now let alone in my position, they'd be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's insane. You know,
like what?
You know, my circumstance at home with my family was really fucked up. I didn't want to be home, right? I didn't want to be controlled. You know, I stopped going to school in the 7th grade. Our school system, the way it was set up is there was it was across the street. The school was split up by the street. And so after second period, I'd cross the street and I'd turn left and walk home. And I started doing that in 7th grade. I didn't want to be home. You know, I didn't want to be at school because I was like, you know, nobody here understands me. I'm trying so hard to connect with people, but I'm chronically depressed. You know what I mean? Already at such a young age. I was in therapy at 2 years old. Like, and what is like therapy? Like talking, but it's behavioral therapy, right? Where you're playing games and, you know, it's crazy. I don't remember a lot from a kid, from a young age, but I do remember the therapist always said, one time he said to me, why do you never let me be the good guy? And I always thought about it. I'm like, because I'm always the bad guy in my situation. I'm always losing in my life. You know what I mean? Like I have no control. There's trauma, abuse, drug addiction, this, that. I don't feel loved. I don't feel this. Like, I never feel like I won, you know, from a very young age.
You don't feel as though you're deserving being the good guy.
So you create an environment where I get to choose if I win. Fuck yeah, I'm going to win. You know what I mean? Fuck yeah, you're the bad guy. I'm going to stand on your chest and you know, I won, you know what I mean? And, I mean, I'm still, even now, I'm very competitive in video games. You know, I take that shit very seriously. Like, you know, I like success because I didn't believe I deserved it for a long time.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And
I think that gave you a chip on the shoulder, a desire to go out and achieve it because you didn't feel as though you deserved it.
I didn't have a choice. It was like, so many of my friends now, bro, they didn't get out, right? You know what I'm saying? They didn't get away from that shit. Jail, or just, most of them are just fucking out of their mind.
Stuck.
You know what I'm saying?
As a 16-year-old.
We're 30 years old now. You know what I'm saying? They're fucking still, you know, doing cocaine, fucking playing with fentanyl, you know, doing all this shit. And it's like, I mean, that's the progression, right? Like, you just need to chase a higher high. You know what I mean? And
chase the dragon.
Right. You know, and so, but for me, you know, my only way to get away from that shit was to like dig deep into that need to feel that I deserve success. You know what I mean? And like, I have a degree in physical chemistry. I studied quantum mechanics at UCLA. You know, I'm a very high performing natural bodybuilder, power lifter, all this shit. Like, anybody who talks to me, you know, they know when I was 23 years old, dude, I was running Airbnbs. I had Airbnbs all over the country, making a shit ton of money before they got regulated, you know? Cool. And, you know, obviously that took a turn when they got regulated. You know what I mean? And,
Thank you, California.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. San Francisco. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
That's where I had all my stuff at, you know, but I've always been super high performing at whatever. I always say, you know why I was such a good drug addict? Because I always like being the best at what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, anybody who knows me growing up knows, like, if we were fighting, I don't care if I'm going in against 10 people and I'm going to get my ass beat. I'm going to jump in there. You know what I mean? Because it's just, I had this like
all or nothing.
Yeah. Because why the fuck am I going to do anything if I'm not going to do it? You know what I mean? Like I don't do something that I don't care about. So many people talk to me about stocks and crypto and all this shit. And it's like, yeah, man, I would love to be interested in it. but I don't give a shit about it. And when you start talking to me about it, I'm going to stop listening. Because you might as well be talking about unicorns and rainbows to me, because I don't care. You know what I mean?
Exactly the same way.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if I make a bunch of money and I have somebody in my corner who cares about it, who wants to take, 10 grand, 20 grand and turn that into more money, and they care about it, sure, I'll give you some money if if you really feel confident you can do anything about it. You ask me to do it, I'm not going to do it. If one day I start to care about it, I guarantee you I'd be really fucking good at it.
Yeah, I was about to say, by the other side of the coin, if you do find something that fascinates you and holds your interest, you go at it 1,000%.
But you can't lose track of the of the authenticity. I can't lie to myself. I can't be like, you have to be interested in stocks because it's going to make you money. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm not interested in it.
No.
My gut isn't interested in it. My head's not interested in it. There's nothing I can do about it. Yeah. It is what I am either genuinely interested in or genuinely not. I have a client where I was working with him. You know who Marcus Philly is?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was his coach for the last 5-6 months.
Remind me what his
CrossFit guy.
Yeah.
Look him up.
I've seen this though. A big ponytail.
Big ponytail.
Like
right.
mine.
Mobility guy does a lot of mobility.
He's got a great take on a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. So he reached out to me. I thought he was fucking joking. I thought it was like one of those guys who were trying to like lock you into their coaching program at first when he hit me up,
Yeah.
But no, he genuinely wanted to transition and understand the realm of like properly nourishing yourself in the bodybuilding realm, because he'd been in CrossFit and doing a lot of, CrossFit, any sport like that. There's a little bit of a physical sacrifice, right, that you do to be a high performing athlete.
Oh,
right?
especially CrossFit. Holy shit.
Yeah. Like my big
CrossFit's a lot like dealing drugs. It's like you either get out of it or you die.
Right, exactly.
You're gonna get hurt.
It's just overworking.
Oh, and there's no accounting for proper recovery. There's honestly, I've seen it varies because it depends on who's running the box, like who the coach truly is. But I mean, there's very little adherence to any kind of periodization.
And he would tell me the stories about what he used to do, and like it is just simply who does not give up. You know what I'm saying? And which is great. Like, it's a great thing to do.
It's motivating.
Right. But at a certain point, you turn 40, dude.
Yeah. You're not going to have, you don't have any, you have to have an exit strategy. You know, it's like gymnastics. It's like high level gymnastics. I did that as a kid, but you can't do that as a 40-year-old.
Right.
You need to have an exit strategy and a way to transition to something different.
Right. And so when he reached out, I started working with him. What were we talking about?
Coaching, Marcus Feely and coaching. He reached out. You thought he was trying to lock you into his program, but he reached out because he wanted you.
Why did we get to that point? It was fucking, hey, dude. Let me just talk about it for a second, see if I get
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, so I worked with him for about 4 or 5 months, right? And you know what? The thought's completely gone. So let's
podcasting. It's
how
many of these have you done now? Didn't you say you've only done a couple? A couple podcasts. Like you've only done
I've done one before this with Marcus. Yeah.
No way. Oh, you did. Oh,
Marcus, man.
Dude, I don't know why I didn't put all that together because he's got one out at his place, right?
Yeah. So
is this in his house?
So he has a little kind of like what you have here. He has his own little private warehouse, gym. And so, we talked upstairs and for me, I really wish I could remember that point, dude, because it was really good.
It'll come back.
I was essentially talking about, originally how, how I got into this coaching space and into the realm of being on social media, right? That, when we're talking about authenticity, I'll get there, bro. Now it's a scratch I can't fucking itch. Sorry.
Oh, it don't matter, man. That's why they invented B-roll. Yeah, okay. It's podcasting.
Let's just shift gears a little bit. But
sure.
So basically when I started posting on social media, I've gotten lean a few times, like super lean, and of course do bodybuilding shows and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought, like, every time I get lean, I'll be like, this is it, dude. Like, people are going to see my body. They're going to see I'm natural and I'm going to blow up. You know what I mean? Nobody gave a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody.
You've mentioned that a couple times. You a lifetime natty?
Lifetime natty, yeah. So
okay.
I got into fitness.
So what does that mean?
Nothing. I mean, I'm not natty in terms of taking, I've taken, what I'm saying?
But no performance enhancers.
No performance enhancing drugs.
So you've never done TRT?
No. And the biggest
HRT, peptides, none of that.
I did 3 days of BPC when I tore my hamstring, and I forgot on day 4, and then I was like, I'm not.
Which means it essentially did nothing.
It did nothing. I mean, whatever. If somebody wants to tell me I'm not natty for doing 3 days of BPC, then.
What is the okay? Because I'm always first of all, I mean, I've been on TRT since I was about 25, and I'm more curious as to the affinity people have with being natty As opposed to, are you natty or not?
Right.
Because to me, I don't really see the value in being natty.
I don't give a shit if people believe me or not. Like, it's a fact of my life.
Sure. But why is it important to you? Why is it important to be natty?
Because it's a drug. So here's the way I look at TRT. Okay. Mm. If you have, let me just talk. Let's how I look at diet. Mm. Diet is the absence of a proper diet is the absence of deficiency. Mm. You're not deficient in protein, carbs, fats, micronutrients, phytonutrients, probiotics, hormones, this, that, whatever. That is my concept, my foundation of what is a good diet, right? That is the absence of deficiency. So if somebody's walking around with 100 nanograms per deciliter testosterone levels, you are deficient in testosterone. You 100% should be supplementing with testosterone to get your levels to be where you are no longer deficient in testosterone. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it is a hormone that is not just important for a man's body. It is like the most important
the lifeblood of the body.
Like,
yeah.
It's the fountain of youth for a man. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So 100%, I support that. My test levels are anywhere between 500 to 600. Mm-hmm. I'm good. Mm-hmm. If I hop on TRT, I'm abusing a drug. That is the way that my brain looks at it. I am no longer deficient in it, and now I am abusing it in order to gain an edge, mm-hmm. right? Now, when I was in college, I was bodybuilding, studying really hard, a really hard degree. I was stressed out all the time, not sleeping well, all this shit. My test levels were anywhere from 370 to about 430, depending on how fat I was, right? So when I was fatter, it was around 430. When I was getting ready to compete, it dropped down to about 370,
less
right?
sleep, more stress, that kind of stuff.
But that alone, guess what? I'm still in the natural, I'm still in the range. I'm still in the green. I'm fine, right?
What do you consider to be the range of green for a man? Testosterone, what do you think it is?
I'd say if you are at a 300, there are some lifestyle choices you can make and some lifestyle changes you can make to bump that up. Mm-hmm. If you're at 100, you got something going on. Mm-hmm. You have something bad going on.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If you're under 300, there's some physiological issue that you have in your body in terms of producing testosterone that should be addressed. But if you're in the 300s, I genuinely believe, because keep in mind, the natural range is anywhere from 300 to 1200. Right. So if you're in the natural range at 300, now it's fucked. It's super low still, but you are in the natural range, which means that scientifically, by the data, your testicles are producing enough testosterone. You just have to make some lifestyle changes, either your diet, your sleep, your stress, this, that, whatever. I know this personally because after college, I went home for about 6 months and I did nothing besides bodybuild and sleep. I was sleeping like 8 to 10 hours a day. My dad has a Mediterranean restaurant. I'd go there. You go under the grill, you open it. There's lamb skewers, chicken skewers, beef.
My favorite.
Just fucking throw it on there, dude. Easy living for 6 months.
Yeah.
My shit shot up to a 632. Mm-hmm. Highest it had ever been, right? Now, I'm back stressed a little bit. Last time I got it was around the 500s, Mm-hmm. So my point is, right? Was I deficient? Was I deficient because my testicles couldn't produce it? No. Mm-hmm. I was deficient because I was stressing myself out.
Your lifestyle was not
optimal, right? But when I made a simple lifestyle change, I was able to bump it up 300 points, 200 points, right? Now, that's something people get on TRT to do, right? People will get on TRT to bump their shit up to around 600, 700, just to be like, if you're actually using it properly for that reason, right?
Yeah. But they'll do it a lot of times, I think, I do agree with you in that I think people do it a little premature. People don't check their lifestyle enough before they just decide, though a lot of people don't even bother to go get tested. But if they do get their blood work done and their panel shows that they're low, a lot of times they kind of jump the gun and jump on the gear before they look at their lifestyle.
Fucking Taco Bell, drinking, partying, chasing women all the time, and they're like, "Oh, my test level's low. I guess I got to do TRT." You know what I mean? And it's fine. It's a preference. But we go back to the gimmicks. Why do the gimmicks work? If I told you, "Hey, your test levels are low," stop going out, stop having fun, stop chasing women, stop eating delicious food.
Go to sleep at 10.
Go to sleep at 10, read a book, put on your, the glasses that get the blue light out of it, put on white noise.
Yep.
You're like, fuck you, dude.
I'd rather just
inject myself and go back to living the life that I want to live, know, and more power to those people. That's fine. You know what I mean? But that's my point when you say, why did the gimmicks work? Because like I said, well, Which one sounds more appealing, especially to young kids, right?
Sure.
Especially to a 19-year-old kid. I'm going to say, hey, dude, sacrifice all your 20s. Just don't do it. I promise you, throwing up on your friend's couch at 22 years old is not the experience that you want to live for. The experience you want to live for is being 35 with millions of dollars in your bank account, throwing up anywhere in the world you want because you have the money to do it, and you can go live your life and eat and drink and be around the best people in the best environments and literally get to experience everything you want in life because you gave up these meaningless 10 years of your life towards a craft. Anybody who's willing to sacrifice their 20s, their entire 20s for something, is going to be high performing in their craft and probably having a great life in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s because they gave up 10 measly fucking years towards it. But you tell a 19-year-old kid that, hard to hear, right? I started lifting when I was 20. I didn't stop using until I was around, the last time I've done anything, I was 23 years old. I'm 30 now, And so, from 23 until 30, I'm up 3:30 in the morning, eating my meals, going to class, learning, training, coming home, being with my dog, watching some TV, no girls. I was celibate from the age of 23 until about 28 years old. No women.
Good for you, man.
No nothing. It was fucking grind time. It was, I don't know myself. And if I don't learn myself now, I'm definitely not going to learn myself when I'm 30, 40, 50, 60 years old. You see these 50-year-old man going to these retreat, doing a bunch of drugs, being like, I've discovered myself. I'm like, no, you fucking haven't, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, with all due respect, no, you haven't. It's not, you're just,
well said.
You're convincing yourself that you're doing something because you're being a little bit more intentional and talking about emotions and shit like that. That doesn't make you a grounded, meaningful, mindful person. You know what I mean? How are you bringing value to the people around you? Are you even able to grasp the concept of sacrificing your life towards contributing to the betterment of other people in the world, right?
And are you able to do that sober? I think that's something really missed out. I don't particularly like this Aubrey Marcus sort of pushing the idea. Aaron Rodgers going on, doing what you saying. He's almost 50, did a psychedelic retreat, and now he says he found himself and all this. Listen, I have a real appreciation for psilocybin. I've done it many times. I like it. I love it.
Likewise.
But it's also, that's not changing the you that is you. Right. You have to learn that and learn about yourself and who you're going to be,
right,
void of substance, because you're not going to be on substance all the time. I don't believe in microdosing. I think it's a stupid idea. I think people need to learn how to sit with themselves.
Right.
You need to learn to be a person. And like you said, it's super hard to learn that you need to know that when you're 19.
Right.
And I don't think there's ever an age where it's inappropriate to figure that out, but I don't like the idea that people think they can find themselves during a yoga retreat,
right,
or during an ayahuasca ceremony. I don't believe.
Well, and that's not what the purpose of it's supposed to be, right? So when I used to use it back in the day, right, and I haven't done it in years.
Psilocybin or ayahuasca?
Psilocybin. I've dabbled all over
across
everything.
Of course.
You know what I mean? I'm the LSD, DMT, the really intense psychedelic.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I don't like that. I don't like feeling that out of control.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
It can go so horribly wrong.
You know what I mean? I know. Yeah. And why I'll tell you a story after this, but mushrooms I actually really appreciate, but let me explain. The mushrooms weren't what helped me find myself. I would use them in a state, especially when I was younger, especially when I was still fucking bashing my head against that brick wall trying to break through whatever, you know what I mean, between the gap of who I wanted to be and who I was conditioned to be, you know what I'm saying? It would help me. Let's say I got tired bashing my head against the wall. It would get me bashing my head against the wall again. Right? But that wasn't the work. The mushrooms wasn't the work. The mushrooms was simply the act of resetting me and kind of getting me back in that headspace of going back to work and trying to break down that brick wall. Now, did I continue to do mushrooms every day after that one day of doing mushrooms? Absolutely not. I reset myself and then I went back to work. And guess where that work existed? In a boring fucking life, doing the same fucking thing, sober and boring and boring and boring and boring, until one day I stopped reacting the way I used to, right? I started taking a second and thinking about, why is this person reacting that way? Why am I wanting to react this way, right? What are we talk about triggers, right? People love using that fucking word trigger, right? Like, oh, you triggered me. And it's like, well, with all due respect, you're the only one who's able to trigger yourself. You're the only one who's able to let that take you over and become reactive. Somebody can do whatever. I always say to people, and I'm sorry to get derogatory here. I'm Lebanese, Palestinian, Italian, right? You could call me a fucking Taliban hijab. Oh, you're going to come blow up my house? Well, no. It's not who I am. You know what I'm saying? I was born in Berkeley, California. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm very American.
Yeah.
I speak Arabic, you know? So am I going to go and punch this guy in the face and say, oh, you motherfucker, blah, 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 because he called me a racist slur? I'm not that racist slur. And I know that. And I have to take a step back and be like, well, why is this guy doing that? Why is this guy attacking me like this? It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with them. And that alone is such a rewarding feeling of knowing that nobody, and I mean nobody, can throw me off balance anymore. You know, I get a lot of hate on social media.
Of course.
Because I take a very... I'm a scientist. I did research in one of the top material science labs at UCLA independently. I didn't work under a postdoc. The professor loved... I had one conversation with him. He loved me so much, he gave me a hood in his lab and said, I just want you to do whatever you want. I want you to explore your brain, do whatever you want, you know? Keep in mind, I went back at 25. I was a drug addict all my life. I went to UCLA at high school, dropped out, and then went back at 25. And, you know, I was top of my class, high performing, you know, all this shit. I didn't go to class. I self-taught myself everything through textbooks, you know, all this shit. And I do the research. I read the studies. I've read every study that every asshole on social media is talking about to try and get these, you know, my information's better than the next guy. I've read them. But I have application. I have practical experience, right? I've been in the trenches. I've done this. I created my body, not just from like, I wasn't an athlete growing up, dude. I took myself from beneath ground zero, and I put myself in the top 0.0001%, right? I know what that takes. And there's no one exercise, no one training program, no one diet, no one ever. It's all mindset. So when I'm providing people their value on here, what am I focusing on? How to keep people inspired, how to keep people safe, right? I just commented on somebody's thing today. I said the most optimal thing is consistency, and you can't be consistent when your pec is hanging off your shoulder.
Oh, so true.
Not going to be able to be consistent.
Yep.
You can't do it. When you herniate your disc, not going to be able to be consistent. So okay, you're bored of doing this exercise. It's killing, you know, your inspiration. You want to go do something that research would say was slightly suboptimal, but God bless, it lights a fire under your ass, and you want to push those extra reps. You want to bring that intensity to the gym with you because you love what you're doing. That person's going to succeed. Not the guy who just like robot fucking, I have to do what these guys said or else I'll be judged for being suboptimal, you know? And so, you know, I get a lot of hate because of that, right? But at the end of the day, you can't really hate on... I did it intentionally. So the guy who first ever posted a little slander video on me, he posted a video recently where he was talking about when you're looking at fat-free mass, that the elite naturals are around a 25, right? I'm around a 30, okay? And he was talking about how when you get to the 28, 29, 30 range, you have to question if somebody's natural because they're such a massive outlier, you know? So I clipped it. I never clip people's videos, but I clipped that one video and I said, the guy who criticized me and sent more little fucking gremlin piranha kids to attack my page day after day after day is basically saying that whatever I did has put me in the top 1%. You know what I mean? And as a 1 in a billion phenomena outlier. Now, I'm 5'3". Does that help with filling out your frame? 100%. Sure. I'm not going to deny I don't have to eat as much, right? Like as somebody who's 6'3", I don't have to eat as many calories. That doesn't mean I have to train any less intense. I train with plenty of guys on gear that can't even keep up with me. You know what I mean?
Oh, of course.
And the reason I did that video, and I took a very nasty tone, I'm not going to lie, I took a very antagonizing tone in that video, and I did it as a bit of a social experiment. Because the whole video, all I said in the video was, basically, no one is ever going to be successful eating out of somebody's hand. It's great to learn the basics. It's great to get guidance. It's great. But if you want to go from being average elite to being a 1 in a billion phenomena, you have to take your tongue out of somebody's butthole and go figure it out for yourself. You know what I'm saying? If you don't want to do that, if you don't have the intention, if you don't have the intuition, if you don't have the integrity, if you don't have these values that allow you to do that, you will never, ever, ever be great. You know,
this episode of the podcast is brought to you by ASOP, the Arizona Education and Scholarship Opportunities Program. ASOP is a federal nonprofit and Arizona school tuition organization. Contributions to them turn into a dollar for dollar 100% matching Arizona income tax credit. Corporations can contribute up to their entire income tax burden. Yes, even if it's millions of dollars, you can still claim that. ASOP turns those dollars into scholarships for underprivileged children in low-income households to attend private schools in Arizona. Furthermore, individuals can contribute as well. For individuals, the cap is roughly $1,000 per person or $2,000 for those married filing jointly. For more information, visit www.asopkids.org to learn more today. And now, back to the episode.
And that was just the premise. It wasn't that I knew better. It was that you have to learn yourself.
How do you take it?
I can't tell you. Hundreds and hundreds of comments telling me that I only look like how I look because I'm 5'3" and because of my genetics.
Mm-hmm.
The two things I have no control over.
Right.
And that's what I knew would be the response from it. A bunch of people who, instead of looking at this video and taking a step back and being like, where am I falling short in understanding myself to reach my goals? They got triggered and said, fuck you, you were handed this gift.
Which is, like you said, it's not something you can combat because these are genetic traits. You are a genetic outlier. It's not anything you can change.
Well, let me ask you something. Bring me another 5'3" guy who's doing what I'm doing.
I think Jeff Nippard's around your size. I don't think he's doing nothing much bigger than Jeff. He's little. Have you met him?
He's a little guy.
Yeah, he's little.
And strength-wise, it's apples and oranges. And it's not that, sure, okay, let's eradicate all other heights and all other things. I'm 5'3". Bring me another 5'3" natural athlete who is as high performing as I am. Bring him to me. Okay, I'm sure there's other ones. I'm not like, gonna glorify myself right now and say I'm the only one.
Yeah.
But I'm saying you have to give me my flowers, for in my realm, as a 5'3" individual, I've brought myself to the top of the game in my category of physical development, and you have to give that person their flowers. And in my opinion, if you were a person of science, if you were somebody who wanted to learn themselves, you want to absorb as much information as I was, right? The only reason I learned, I'm not a guy who really watched YouTube videos. I had coaches for the first 3 years. I've coached myself for the last 7. Because most people were pushing gear on me. Most coaches were pushing gear on me.
Sure.
And I just started to realize they were, one, either trying to make money off me, or two, they didn't actually understand natural development. Like they didn't understand how to keep pushing it forward.
There's also just, I think, the trajectory of everybody in the industry, especially in your corner of the industry.
Right.
If you're doing what you're doing, people expect that you're going to look a certain way.
Sure, 100%. But I also think, to my point, no one could tell me how to get there, because that was for me to, I have clients, how long should I rest? Till you're ready to do exactly give the same intensity as you did on that first set to the next one. But how long? I don't know. Until you're ready to give the same intensity to that second set. I'm not in your body, dude. If you need 2 minutes, take 2 minutes. If you need 5 minutes, if you took 2 minutes and you got on there and that set sucked and you were still exhausted and fatigued from the first one, probably needed more rest. If you took 5 minutes and you were too cold and it compromised your set, probably need less rest. I cannot tell you what that looks like. Oh, well, should I do a 6-day split or a 2-day split? Or do you feel like yesterday's session is going to compromise your ability to bring the same intensity that you did yesterday to today's session? I can't tell you that. That's in your body. Yep. You have to make that decision for yourself. I cannot teach you that. I can only help you understand as much as I can what that feels like, what you should look for, signs you should look for in terms of, is your progression being compromised, is whatever. You have to understand yourself. And I think that's what clicked in my head at a very young age in this, I was around 23, 24 when I stopped working with people, and it's like, why am I working with a coach who's telling me to rest 30 seconds if I'm not doing fucking HIIT over here, dude? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to be intentional with every single set, every single rep, and you just can't teach that, and so, like I said, when I posted this video, I got and I left it on there. It was like, why is this still on your page? You should delete it. And I'm like, I want you guys, for the people who will listen.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to see how many people are here coping with themselves, right? And creating a cope instead of being like, this guy literally decided that he was going to accomplish this or die trying.
Yeah.
And he was willing to give up everything. That's the first thing I asked. Well, you want to call it genetics? Do you go out and party? Do you have a girlfriend? Do you hang out with your friends all the time? Do you wake up 3 a.m. to hit your meals? Do you give every moment you have towards rest? Do you constantly try and keep your stress levels down? And is every aspect of your life geared towards optimizing this process for yourself? If the answer is no, then telling me that it's my genetics is a cope. It's an excuse to be able to be like, to just tell yourself that your life, you don't have to make sacrifices in your lifestyle because you'll never get like me because I have crazy genetics. You know what I mean? Well, guess what? You're not going to know that until you give the same respect and the same love and the same, the same everything that I gave to this process, and do it for 10 years, right? Or I guess I'll be more realistically 7 years that I got really, really locked in and dialed in.
Yeah, you said you've been independent without a coach for 7 years and you had one for 3?
I bounced around because it would just get to the same point. Everybody try and get me on gear. Everybody just...
Do you think clients should always outgrow their coaches?
I tell my clients, if at the end of the first month you work with me, you go, dude, I like you, I'll keep paying you, but you've kind of taught me everything, like, and I've absorbed it and I really understand it. I'm good to go. Like, I'm just going to play around and figure it out myself. I've succeeded. I've won. That's how I look at it, because now most people, of course, after 1 month are not going to get to that point, right? The first month is usually a very unstable adaptation period where we're trying to find their macros, we're trying to help them, find.
It's an evaluation.
It's an evaluation, right?
Yeah.
But if I have somebody working with me for an entire year, in my opinion, if I'm being completely honest with you, why are you still paying me, dog? I'm going to have you doing the same thing for most of the months this year. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be doing the same fucking thing every day. You want to text me and ask me that there's something new? Nope. Go do it again. Go do it again. Go do it again. Go do it again. Do it for the next 5 years. Do I want them to be on? No, because they leave. Somebody else is going to come and learn from me. I look at myself as much more, my coaching is much more of an education, as much more of a class than it is a hand-holding process. You know what I mean?
Because interesting. Because that's very, revolving door is kind of the phrase that comes to mind. It seems like a lot of coaches have a real difficult time with that concept. From a business standpoint, a revolving door of clients is harder to maintain than having 12 consistent clients.
Well, there's a lot of anxiety around it.
Right.
Like last month, I had a big month a few months ago, brought in a lot of people. And because it was the time away from that, I had also a big drop off last month. And fuck, you know what I'm saying? And I've been so busy with so many other things that I didn't get a big intake at the end of the month. You know what I'm saying? And so, because I only intake once a month, and so it's like, there's anxiety, but once again, it goes back to our original conversation. What is the intention? Is it money or is it integrity, right? Why am I doing this in the first place? Why did I start posting? I didn't actually want to be a coach. A year ago, I wasn't coaching. I was helping. I had a couple homies that, that I would help here and there and whatnot, but I was not a coach. If anybody actually knows me, I never wanted to be a coach. Because I can't fucking deal with people victimizing themselves and making these petty fucking excuses as to why they can't do X, Y, and Z.
Which they always do.
Yeah. And I'm not good at that. I'm not good at handling that. I'm like, you lose. You lost. Like, I don't know what else to tell you, dog. You know what I mean? Like, that is the most constructive thing that I can say to you is that if you are here making these excuses week after week after week, I hate to call you a lost cause, brother, but if you don't, you know what I mean? If you don't make some serious adjustments, maybe it's right now, it's not the gym for you, dog.
Yeah.
You have a mental barrier right now that your priorities are all the way fucked up. You want somebody to hand you instant gratification. I'm not him.
This is why
go hire somebody else.
This is why motivational speaking seminars exist. Talk about the bottom of the barrel on that one. That's just like, I detest the whole mix up of, if you were to tier kind of the levels of gimmick within fitness, it seems like the bottom of that entire thing would be this weird mesh that seems to be happening where you have like motivational speaking seminars with fitness people.
Right.
Like Goggins just did something with Andy. It's just weird.
Right.
It's a weird dynamic down there.
Right.
I that's probably my least
you think
favorite.
anybody was the one who fucking got Goggins to be Goggins? Or did Goggins make Goggins? You know what I'm saying? It was him. It was his, whatever his mind. Yeah, absolutely insane the shit he does. I would never, I couldn't even do it. I mean, I don't have a desire to do it, right? But there's nobody in the world is going to influence Goggins to do that except for himself. You know what I mean? And you know what those seminars are good for? The same thing I was talking about with the mushrooms are good for. Hey, you need to get a reset to start bashing your head against that brick wall again? Sure, go. But if you think you're going to walk out of there and not have to give 150% intention to your process every day after.
That's a good point.
That little fucking $600 resort where they fucking suck your dick backwards and, you know what I'm saying, made you feel fucking special about yourself, that, you know what I mean? That the golden goose was going to fucking appear and give you the chocolate factory right after you were done. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you think that's like, if that's why you went there, you already lost. You go there to reset yourself. You go there to get put back on balance. 100% support that.
It's a good comparison to psychedelics if you really think about it, because you're in this, it's mass hysteria in a conference room. That's what these seminars are. I'm going in here. It's a cult. That's exactly what cults get a bad name, but you get into a cult, you can reset your mind or you can change your perspective. You go into a room with these people, you could leave there pumped and like ready to go. But I find that if you were going to succeed and crush it and had the ethic and had the vision and you would have been doing it before you went in that room. I don't see a lot of people changing their lives because they went and watched Goggins talk for a while.
Well, and you know who the people who do change their lives? It's the ones who aren't there the next day sitting in the audience again. You know what I'm saying? You're going there to listen to the cult leader tell you how to be a cult leader, but you keep showing up in the audience, dog.
As a cult follower. Yeah. Oh, these people are addicted. The people that go to these, I know a gal who ran PR for a few of these big name dudes like we're talking about. The same people come to all these events. They follow them around like the Rolling Stones back in the 60s. Like people follow them around and go to their little shows. And it's just like, you're addicted to the experience of the high of that room. You're not actually any better than you were when you first found them.
Exactly. And that's what it is. It's the same people who are microdosing every day because they have a dependence on, I just wouldn't be as intentional as I could be today unless I took my mushrooms this morning. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's like,
it's a drug that isn't a pill and isn't a needle. It's a drug you intake from a group of people screaming at you.
There's many things. There's many examples of that exist in the world, right? It's like people who I've trained every other day for the last 7 years now. So I train one day on, one day off every other day.
Sweet.
I have a big belief, and anybody who started following it from me, the results that they've had, be it they've been in the gym 5 days or 20 years, I have not had one person reach out to me and be like, I had a PDF and I have sold thousands of them, and it wasn't anything. It was just simply, this is what I have done. It wasn't like, this is a super optimal training program. It's just simply, you guys asked me what I do. Look, I give you guys free content every day. I need to pay my bills. You want me to keep showing up doing free content? Here's a product, but it's simply, this is what I did. I don't give a fuck if you like it or not. This is what I done. This is you like the way I train, the way I look, my strength, everything. You want to see if my style of training works for you. This is it. That's simply what it was. I've sold thousands of them. Not one person reached out being like, dude, this is fucking lame. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody who's reached out has been like, whether they took a crumb of it or the whole thing or whatever, it's been revolutionary. Now, what's the biggest hiccup when I tell people to train every other day? Well, I can sit here and explain to you my philosophy behind training other day, and it's going to make a lot of sense. And I can use science, and I can use literature, and I can use all these things to back up the importance of training every other day. And you'll sit there and be like, that makes 100% sense. I'm not going to do it because I don't know what to do on those rest days, bro.
Right.
What am I supposed to do? 36 hours sitting down and not working my body? what, like, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Is that an excuse? You know what I mean? Is that a valid excuse to not try something because you are not mindful and grounded enough to just sit with your thoughts for a day?
Mm-hmm.
That's your issue. You don't even have to do my program. You just found what your issue is in your entire life right there. Is that you are constantly distracting yourself because you don't have a relationship with yourself. You don't have an understanding with yourself. You constantly need something to distract you from the fact that you are unfulfilled and you don't like who you are. Mm-hmm. And that's as simple as it is. If you want to disagree with me, you want to tell, well, no, it's because it's super important to stay super healthy, blah, blah. Okay, do that. That's fine. But can you take a day off? Mm-hmm. If the answer is no, then don't use health as an excuse. Don't use anything as an excuse. You cannot take a day off because that's your missing.
You're addicted to the high. You're addicted to the high of exercise, which, in my opinion, if you are going to be addicted to a substance, it's probably the best.
Sure.
But I do hear what you're saying in that if you cannot sit, what is it? The root of all man's problems stem from his inability to sit alone in a room.
Right.
If you are really uncomfortable with that fact, and I hear what you're saying, in that, if you cannot take a day away from whatever it is that is stimulating you in your life and you can't just sit quietly with yourself, then maybe you should kind of question why. Right. Like, why is that?
Right. And that'll endlessly feed you. I make videos all the time where I'm talking about, so I did a video recently of a barbell row. So a lot of people say we shouldn't do barbell rows because it's a very unstable movement and you're never going to generate as much power as possible for your upper back muscles to actually progress because your erectors are going. So hypothetically, let's say my upper back could row 405, mm-hmm. but my erectors were and I could do 405 for 5, right? But my erectors were unable to stabilize myself in that bent over position to be able to do the 405 for 5. Well, then I'm not going to be able to do the 405 for 5, and therefore I'm not actually going to give my back the stimulus it needs to continue progressing. So do we not do barbell rows? Well, no, absolutely not, because you're identifying that there's a weakness there, right? Something's lagging behind that's preventing you from being able to stabilize your body to be able to generate as much power as possible without the help of a machine stabilized movement. Okay. I'm not saying that we shouldn't focus on machine stabilized movements where we're able to generate the most power, create the most mechanical tension, generate the most hypertrophy. Go give maximal effort to that stabilized movement. Go do maximal effort on the T-bar row where your chest supported and you can actually stimulate your muscles the most. But then go and do your barbell rows with lighter weight for higher reps, and don't focus on the back hypertrophy right there. Focuses on the execution of that movement and your ability to stabilize that movement. Because what you have now done is identified a weakness, you've identified a shortcoming, and that's up to you. You have to decide if that weakness is going to manifest in a weakness in your overall physique, right?
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by the Superhero Training app. Whether you're in the gym, at home, in the pool, or on the road, you'll find training programs built by elite coaches specifically for you. Every subscriber is automatically entered to win thousands of dollars in equipment giveaways each month and to participate in our group fitness challenges, where you can win custom hand-painted 3D printed superheroes. All of this for less than 67 cents per day. So don't wait. Follow the link in this episode description below and start your fitness journey with us. And now back to the episode.
This is why I lift only raw. Right. I don't do straps. I don't do belts. I don't do knee sleeves. I don't do any of that. Because I find that if you're doing the lift using those tools, you're probably going too heavy in that lift. Right. You have areas that are not prepared for that volume, that load. Right. And you can, kind of circumvent that little warning sign your body's giving you, or you can address it and say, okay, well, you know what? Maybe I'm not meant to do a deadlift at that weight.
Right.
I could hurt myself and try, or I could taper back, work on the areas that, whatever it is, my grip strength, my knees, whatever it is that's bothering me, and then I could move forward and find out what my max is. Right. But I don't know. I've never been a big fan of that. The strapping on all this stuff and what do your exercises.
I mean, I will never argue from a mechanical tension standpoint, I will never argue that a machine stabilized movement is going to allow you to generate the most amount of hypertrophy. But it will also never help you identify where your weak points are, and that is Super crucial. I do videos. My last one, if you want to click it.
The one you just did?
Bench.
This one?
Yeah. This is 315, and I'm literally giving a lecture while I'm benching 315. You know what I'm saying? And I'm
Yeah,
changing
dude.
my angle in like 6 different ways, my arm position in 6 different ways.
The body's going to prioritize triceps. Yep.
Right? And then I go on to rep out 315 for a bunch of reps once again while I'm talking.
Mm-hmm.
We'll watch it through.
Yeah. I love this.
Like you see the control, the pause, the ability to speak, all this with 315. Obviously, I'm much stronger than 315.
Mhm.
But people are like, how do you do that, dude? Like, how do you? Because I don't have to worry about anything besides pushing. I'm basically on a machine stabilized movement because my body is able to provide the stability with this weight, right? If you had 135 on there, could you probably talk while you're doing 135?
Definitely.
Okay. Why can't you do it with 405?
Too heavy.
It's you're not
Too much.
It's not, the stability's lacking. And so everything has to go into like focusing on maximal power generation. You know what I mean? You have stability, you're able to mobilize and you're able to generate as much power without being like, while being able to just be calm and casual.
Sure,
right?
yeah.
And so this is, this is just an example, for instance, of where identifying the weakness, people hear discomfort. People hear, oh, this movement's uncomfortable for me. Well, what is discomfort? It's the absence of confidence, right? It's the absence of confidence. You are only uncomfortable with something until you're comfortable with it. How do you get comfortable with something, right? I'm uncomfortable to go talk to that girl. It makes me really butterflies. I'm anxious. She's going to tell me no. Okay, go talk to 5 million women, get rejected by 5 million women. I guarantee you, you're not going to give a shit anymore about getting rejected by women anymore. You know what I mean? Why? Because you ran headfirst into the discomfort. You built up a confidence behind the consequence of the discomfort. And then you said, okay, I'm tired of being uncomfortable in this situation. And then therefore you became intentional about how to build confidence. And now you're no longer uncomfortable.
You ever seen RizCam? Is it RizCam?
No.
Hang on. You got to see this guy's page. This is legit. He does exactly what you're describing. I think it's Riz. Yeah, RizCam. So this guy goes around. This guy's entire page is he just basically teaches. He cold calls women. He literally just go up to them and he's got this way of, oh, this one's rough. Actually, that one's a bad example because she was so rude. And in it, actually, you know what?
That's a great point.
That's a great point. This is literally a good example because if you watch this video, this woman is shockingly rude to him, like has an unbelievable response that no one normal would ever have. She's clearly going through something and has been for probably her whole life. Right. But this is a really good example of showing, okay, what's the worst that can happen? Well, the worst that could happen is that somebody would do this. So, I mean, and even this, it ain't that bad. She's extremely rude, but at the end of the day, you're going to be fine.
But
you're going to go through it.
What is the real fear? The real fear is that the average person who already hates themselves, already is crippled by insecurity, already has just this lack of value, self-value in themselves.
Sure.
Goes and talks to a woman that they've fantasized in their head is going to fix all their problems and show themselves that they have value and all that stuff. And that woman just reminded that person, you ain't shit, dog.
Yep.
So now that person walks away hating themselves even more, hating themselves even more. Now he's perpetuating. Now all those degrading self-thoughts have now been amplified. And that's where the fear comes in. Because you're right. What's the worst thing that fucking happened here? She walked away, he walked away, went on with their day. Nothing happened. Yeah. No one went to jail, no one died, no one, girl, the asteroids didn't come and fucking attack the earth, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He simply just got rejected and then was living the same exact life he was before then. So the fear is not about rejection. The fear is that you are going to amplify the self-doubts and the negative thoughts you have in yourself already. So now you take that and apply it to the gym. Well, I don't want to do a movement that's uncomfortable because my value is rooted in doing things that make me appear and be perceived by others as strong and knowledgeable and confident and all this shit. If I go do a movement where I can't move a lot of weight because it's unfamiliar and I look stupid, well, that person just saw me doing it. He's going to judge me. Now I'm judging myself, and I've now amplified once again my negative self-thoughts. Now I'm going to go home and want to go drink and want to go do this thing, want to eat bad and want to self-destruct because I've now triggered all those insecurities that make me feel as I have no value, and that might spiral me into acting as if I have no value, right?
Yeah, it's amazing what public humiliation could do to somebody. Like even the perception of possible public humiliation, which almost never happens to us.
Right.
Someone, it might have been Jordan Peterson was saying it was like 80 to 90% of the horrible, tragic things that happen to us never actually happened to us. We thought they were going to happen, but they never did. But they were still horrible and sometimes even traumatizing to us because we got ourselves in the mindset of, if I do this, this is going to happen.
And
oh my God, I'm going to.
it,
You
yeah.
experienced it in your head. Once you recognize that your thoughts are just thoughts and they don't actually have to manifest, and you can choose sort of which ones do and don't.
Right.
It changes a lot. At least it certainly did for me.
No. And I think, you know, you look at my page, 90%, I have a stretch. I do a lot of pull-ups a lot. Like I'm a pull-up.
Good man.
And I do these insane kind of lat pullovers.
I've seen them.
Yeah. And I'm a big dude, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. A lot of strain on the long head of the tricep, you know, because of course this is, you know, long head tricep movement. The moment arm's really far. It is. You can't really do it if you got weak triceps.
Do you have it on here? Those pull-ups?
Yeah,
let me, because I've seen you do them.
Click my pinned reel. Go
Very
to
first
reels,
one?
Go to my reels. Swipe to the right.
Just right here.
Yeah. Results.
Yeah, those.
For 10 years.
So this is the muscle ups, but I do a bunch of the pull ups.
I'm coaching myself.
This is
I was
sick.
a coach,
Yeah.
my buddy Ricky, to take him home.
So this is my buddy who I was telling you about the national record. I only put a couple clips in the beginning, and the rest is just
There you go.
pull ups.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to see. My gosh. And that puts a lot of strain. You said that puts a lot of strain on the long head of the bicep.
So basically, what you got to understand, my philosophy behind pull ups, right, or just any back movement,
Yeah.
is that when you're starting out here, when you're starting out here, the moment arm between, like, let's say this is where your handle is. Right now, the grip of the handle is really far away from where the lat inserts. The closer you pull to the arm, it's becoming closer and you're shrinking that moment arm, which means that the lat is heavily loaded over here, not so much over here. Over here, you're getting a lot of, brachioradiali. You're getting a lot of scapular retraction. You're getting a lot of rear delts. You're getting all these other muscle groups that contribute to this portion of the movement are kicking in at the bottom. A lot of lats here, not so much here, right? Now, if you keep the moment arm the same by keeping the arms fixed and doing this instead,
Kind of like a push. It's like a lat push down, pull
down,
up.
right? Because since I'm not pulling in, then the distance between the bar or the accessory and the lat insertion is not changing through this entire movement here, which means that this is going to be primarily a almost independently lat focused movement. Now, the issue is that the tricep is going to have to work to stabilize the arm in this position.
Yeah.
And the long head of the tricep is getting shortened as you extend the shoulder down, which means now a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be able to load it because my long head of my triceps can't handle it. So there's obviously some synergy between your ability to grow your back and your triceps. Obviously that there's synergy in the entire body, right? And this is where the natural development comes in. This is where I think my biggest distinguisher between, well, it's not technically distinguisher because if people who are enhanced applied the same concepts, I believe that they would just grow even more tremendously, right? But when you take steroids, even there's a study out there that they were taking 600 milligrams of testosterone. There was this group there that didn't do anything. They literally sat on the couch and they think they put on something like 13 pounds of lean body mass in 10 weeks. That means that muscle,
Just even while simultaneously sitting?
not even working out.
Whoa.
They put on, I think it was 6 to 7 kilograms of lean body mass. Keep in mind, some of it's probably glycogen or whatever, but no natural athlete is putting on 6 to 7 grams of kilograms of lean body mass sitting on the fucking.
And no significant change to their diet? Like they didn't
There
add, it
was
was just sitting and taking tests.
Yeah, there was all, I mean, it was controlled. It was a controlled study, which means that I'm sure the diets were controlled between all the groups and, whatever, right? Of course, the training group grew more, but it's simply put, the muscle protein synthesis is obviously amplified alone just by simply increasing the level of testosterone in your body.
Wow.
So what does this mean? Well, then the phrase I like to say is, as a natural athlete, minimal effort, minimal stimulus, no progress. Maximal stimulus, minimal progress that will accumulate over a long period of time and turn into something magnificent. When you are on steroids, minimal stimulus, great results. Maximal stimulus, sky's the fucking limit.
Yeah.
So what now you get in the culture of lifting with a lot of these guys who are enhanced is they'll say, oh, well, all you need to do is these partial lat pull downs and look at my fucking lats. They're huge. Well, yeah, motherfucker, you could have sat on the couch too and they would have grown. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, the technique is, they are the product of the fact that they are enhanced and the fact that they are working hard, but their technique is not what has made their back so magnificent in that
I'm
video.
not going to minimize that it's not their technique, but you cannot with 100% certainty be anecdotal about your techniques if you are on gear. You have no fucking idea if it was the fact that you are a hyper responder to the gear or it's because your training program worked. But I'm going to tell you, as a natural athlete, I'm 30 years old. I'm still progressing. I'm still getting bigger. This next time I'm cutting down right now, I'm going to look better than I did when I was 28 years old. The last time I was shredded, 29 years old. I'm still progressing. Why? Because of this synergy that I do, right? Because of this aspect, no weakness left behind. I can do a full stack of the lat pull downs. I can do regular pull-ups. I can do these pull-ups. I can do those pull-ups. I can do that. I can do this. I can do any movement you put in front of me. I can do at a high performing level. I am not just doing what I believe is optimal because it's not actually optimal. That's just what I'm good at. You know what I mean? And that's what I feel strong in. I am good in all lifts. I am exceptionally strong in pretty much every single lift that exists out there in the realm of bodybuilding. I don't do like power cleans and shit like that. I just doing that. You know what I mean? But I'm sure that I'd still be pretty strong at it. If you even like the first time doing it, I'm sure I could, because of just my ability to, I don't have weak points. Every point, because I'm able to do this. Well, I wouldn't be able to be doing pull-ups like that. Like, I used to start my back days with 200 to 300 pull-ups. That was my warm-up every back day. And then I'd go, I'm not saying that was the right thing to do, you know what I mean? But I would do that and then go into like a 2-hour back day where I'm doing 5 sets of everything. Like, it was an excessive amount of volume. People would really stop being my friends. Like, they'd come and train with me and I'd never fucking hear from them again because we'd be doing pull-ups for 45 fucking minutes. You know what I mean? Before we even, they'd be like, are we done? I'm like, not even close, dude, you know? But I could do them and I could execute every single one, right? So, my point is I'm not going to be able to lift myself up in that manner at my size unless every muscle group that's contributing to that function is developed.
Right.
So ignoring it and choosing a more lat biased movement because your triceps are your limiting factor. Well, motherfucker, go get some strong triceps then.
Right. Right. Yeah. You gotta
so you can do it.
Everything has to catch up.
Right. I'm doing it. You're saying you can't do this because the tricep is a limiting factor. How the fuck am I doing it then? If you can't do it, then I physically should not be able to do it, but I'm doing it.
Right.
Which means it's possible, which means that you simply just have to develop yourself to be able to do it. And once again, this goes back to the concept of weakness, right? It's that, there's a guy, and once again, I'm not big on calling people out by name, and I'm okay with that. But he's an up-and-coming science-based guy. He's been on gear for about 3-4 years. I took a screenshot of him when we were beefing before he got on gear. He's about 6'2", 6'3". He was like sub 200 when he was natural. You know what I mean? I would not give him the time of day in terms of, respecting his physique at that time, right?
Yeah. It's mid.
He's been posting on social media since, I guess, 2022, 2023, right? He just blew up this year, which means he's been giving information since the first year he was on gear. And nobody cared about it. 3 years in, people care about it now. Why?
Because he looks like that.
Bingo.
Yeah.
He's not saying much different. It's all the same shit. He's still citing the study, still saying what's most optimal, but now people only care about it. He came into my, he posted a story saying, oh, if you want to talk, like DM me, like blah, blah, blah. So I DM'd him and I said, I was like, let's talk. And he goes, okay, but I only want to talk about biomechanics. And I said, so he started gear at 21, 22 maybe. And I said, okay, cool, bro. The elbow bends. Congratulations. You're smart. Now let's talk about why you felt the need to hop on gear before you were a fully developed adult. That's what I want to know. I want to know the underlying insecurity that's forced you to hop on gear, not be that transparent about it, very much minimize it and hyper focus on it's your technique that got you that physique. When in reality, if we actually look at your technique without the gear, you look like absolute dog shit. You know what I'm saying? And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about why you feel the need to be arrogant to anybody who asks you a clarifying question. I'm not talking about this, bro. I'm only talking about biomechanics, blah, blah. And I said, all right. You don't want to talk about what I want to talk about. I don't give a shit about talking about biomechanics. I know how to move my body. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You don't believe me? Go watch any of my training videos. You know what I mean? Like, I know how to move my body. And I said, here's the deal. I always lead with respect. I don't have to disagree. I don't have to agree with you. I don't have to like you. I will always lead with respect. And what does that look like? I don't engage with the shit. I don't care what you're doing. Go ahead, get your money. I'm not gonna talk shit about you. I'm not gonna get in the way of your bag. Do your thing. You talk shit about me. Talking shit is my favorite extracurricular activity, bro. You know what I'm saying? I will talk shit. I will hurt your feelings, bro. You know what I mean? And I will take it too far. I'm a habitual line crosser. You know what I'm saying? Like,
there you go.
Like, I will take it that far, bro. You know what I mean?
Rick James.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. I ain't gonna say it, but you know.
Yeah. He's a habitual line crosser.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what this is? This is like Goob for the edited photos. This is the exact same thing that he goes after, which is great because it is presenting a false narrative within fitness as to what that is. Right. Anybody who doesn't appear like that kind of a person is now unqualified to speak on how to train because he's not on gear. The person isn't abusing drugs. It's the same thing for the people editing their photos. They're editing their photos. Goob sees it. He goes on. He says, oh, this person is not actually where they are claiming to be naturally, or in this case, literally they are photoshopping this. Right. They're trying to sell to you. They're lying to you. Right. And that's similar, very similar.
And that goes to the first question we talked about. Why the gimmicks? Mm-hmm. Right? Why the gimmicks? And so
fitness is saturated.
Right.
That's part of the reason. Right. That's part of the reason that hasn't been, there are so many people doing this. And as we talked about in the beginning, just about everybody is doing this exactly the same way. Right. There's very, very few original people. I talked to original people in this industry for years. Right. There's very, very few of them. Everybody's kind of doing the same thing.
Well, and that's why you have to do the study science-based lifting now. They're repackaging what has been known for years with a bunch of fancy scientific lingo and selling it for top dollar. Mm-hmm. If Ronnie Coleman, and I'm not saying that everybody who trains like Ronnie Coleman is going to look like Ronnie Coleman, but with all due respect, if Ronnie Coleman wasn't following the science of muscle development, how did he build muscle?
Right.
If all the golden era guys, if all the people before science-based lifting became popular who were fucking gorgeous, built all that muscle, how did they do that if they weren't following the science?
Yeah. BioLane wasn't even around then.
Wait. Can you build muscle without following the science of how to build muscle? I don't think so, right? Like, I think that they wouldn't have been able to build muscle, right? So they're taking these concepts, they're repackaging it, they're pushing out. That's why studies are coming out every 5 minutes, right? Because, it's a Jeff Nippard effect, right? Jeff Nippard has made millions of dollars off simply saying, this is the most optimal way, here's the data, blah, blah, blah. And it's the way I phrase it is, if I made a supplement that had creatine, pre-workout, creatine, citrulline, beta-alanine with clinical doses, whatever. Somebody white labeled my shit, made the same exact thing. And I said, hey, bro, try this. This is what I've been taking every day before my look at me, dude. Look at my workouts, bro. Like, I love it. Mm-hmm. Then this guy goes and says, hey, dude, look at these 16 studies that support all the things that are in here and all the performance, blah, blah, blah. Who's going to sell more?
Mm-hmm. Guy with the studies.
It's the same fucking product, dude.
Yep.
And he's probably going to tell me that I'm anecdotal. Oh, you don't even know what you're talking about, dude. You just, appeal to authority. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, dude, you're telling me to do the same thing.
Yeah.
You're just packaging it in a way that's marketable and all this shit. Why do I have followers, man? If my shit is all gimmicks, why do I have followers? Because they took my advice. They went and did it. And it helped them. Mm-hmm. It helped them progress. And so they stayed.
Yeah.
I don't need a study. I don't need to have somebody tell you that what I'm saying is right. Either I'm right or I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I wouldn't have this following. Because I'm not making meme videos. I'm simply being, this is what I do. This is how I do it. This is why I do it. This is why I believe I do it. Here's my performance. Here's how I look. Go try it out for yourself. They go try it out for themselves. Dude, blew my mind. Blew my fucking mind. I went and trained with his IFBB Pro the other day, and we did back because he really wanted to like learn my technique for hitting lats. And he was like, this is going to be an absolute
heck yeah, dude.
He's like, he said he was super sore, right? And now keep in mind, soreness is not always indicative of a good workout, but soreness is indicative that you're exposing your body to something it's not accustomed to, right?
You're breaking it down.
Right. You start a new program, you're always going to be more sore. You're not sore after a few weeks of doing that program, right? Yeah. So for him, he's working his muscles in a way he's never worked them before, and therefore he is extremely sore. He does it now for X amount of time. It's not going to be as sore anymore, but he's going to get gains that he's never gotten before because he's utilizing his body in a way that's never been used before. Yeah. So, I mean, this is the battle I fight. I've been fighting every day. I actually just made a video the other day where I said, I'm actually done arguing with these motherfuckers. I said, clip all the videos you want. What I said was, there's two different types of people in the world. Those who want to be right and those who want to do the right thing. Right. And the people who live to constantly validate their need to be right are never going to receive me well, because there's too much ambiguity in the way that I think. There's too much ambiguity in the way that I approach each individual person, each individual circumstance, each individual day, each individual second. Right. And that's very uncomfortable for people whose entire personality is built on being smarter and being right over the next guy. I care about finding what's right for this person, right? As we talked about before, it might not be the training program, diet, this, that. It could simply be that they haven't dealt with some trauma from 6 years ago that is inhibiting their ability to focus, sleep, recover, XYZ. Now, what if I just started shoving optimal studies down their throat and just try to bury the trauma in, you know what I mean? You don't know what somebody needs. You have to be able to you have to approach. What I say is, when I take on a client, I don't ever assume that I'm going to tell them the right thing, but I know 100% I'm going to be able to help them find what the right thing for them is. And that's going to look different than the next person. Maybe some two people, it's the same thing, but you have to be able to be adaptable, Yeah. But once again,
no two stories are exactly the same.
Right.
Everybody's on a different path.
Right.
It's awesome stuff, man.
Yeah.
If people did want to work with you, where would they go? How would they start?
They DM me. I mean, like I said, I take intakes at the end of the month. I actually do have an app coming out in a couple weeks.
Oh, sick, man. That's great.
Months. Sorry. Yeah. So, it is going to be great. I have because I give so much free coaching. I have a lot of people who can't afford coaching, and that's why they love my page, right? Because they're getting a ton of free coaching that they can't pay for. Yeah. And even when I do coaching intakes, I charge, actually, I'm really cheap. I do like $300 for one package and $500 for the other. It's actually very, very cheap for most people, but some people can't even afford that. And even when I bump down to $200, they still can't afford that. But I can't take on 5,000 people at $40 and like work with them one-on-one. So I'm creating a portal and a system for people. And I'm actually, a big part of it that's super awesome is that I have a doctorate PhD on my team, and we're building out a rehab hub on the app. So you're going to be able to go in there and be like, when I do pull-ups, I feel a shooting pain in my inside of my elbow, obviously tendinosis or tendonitis, right? And the rehab hub will help you diagnose what it is and then auto-populate a rehab protocol for them.
That's awesome.
And he's building this entire thing out. So like almost every injury, every ailment that's like known in the physical therapy world will be on there. There'll be meal plans, workouts, tracking, community pages, rewards, all that stuff. So I'm kind of hoping that most people will go there because that's just going to be my ability to help as many people as possible, and then take on maybe a small handful of more very, very inspired and intentional clients who want to learn. Like I said, it's not, awesome. I don't care about the hand holding aspect of it all. I don't care about a paycheck. I'll find some other way to make money, dude. I'm not going to, it's about teaching for me. You know what I mean? So, and I'm grateful that I've been accepted the way that I have. You know what I'm saying? I'm grateful that a guy the other day asked me, how do you blow up on social media? And I said, the reality is, dude, be yourself. They're either going to want you or they're not going to want you. And that's okay. And if they don't want you, dude, you got to find something else.
Never going to get everybody.
Never going to get everybody.
No way. No doubt.
Be yourself.